Okay. So, welcome once again to all of you. This is lecture number 2 of full stack web development. I hope the introduction was quite clear to all of you. And today we will be starting off with JavaScript. So, why JavaScript? Why do we do it and all? We are going to discuss about it in details in this particular chapter. So when I go ahead, when I talk about JavaScript, this is a saying about JavaScript, which is done by Mr. Ek, that always bet on JavaScript. Do you know why? Because JavaScript is something which you can try and modulate everywhere. Now I'll come to it, why and what it is, but let me just begin. So let me just start off with the story of JavaScript. Let's have some story time. How many of you like stories, right? Yes. Raise your hands, put up your hands. Wonderful. Great. So students, basically what happened initially when the websites were there, when internet was there, right? We discussed what is internet yesterday. Yes. So can I get few answers? What is internet? Superb, superb, superb. Very nice. I see so many answers over here. Great. So students, basically, when the internet was there, actually it was Internet Explorer, that E, olden times, you can say. And when the websites were there, they were not, that interactive. So what happened? That time, Netscape was one of the company which came up with the browser thing. Okay, there has to be a browser. Now, in Netscape, there was one engineer whose name was Anderson. And this person, what happened when I talk about Mr. Anderson, he was appointed for something else. But when this came into the picture, when the things, when the people started, okay, there has to be some interactivity in the, browser or maybe the websites. The websites were static, like Wikipedia. I showed it to you yesterday, right? So like that. So what happened? They said, okay, let us do this. And what they did, they gave him a task to develop a script language. And that, he did it in just 10 days. Can you imagine a full programming language he developed in just 10 days? And what happened? This was magic. Like here it is written, he thought of move beyond the displaying these static documents and become truly interactive. So obviously we wanted to add interactivity. We wanted to have the user experience wonderful over there. So what we did is when the details were given to him, he developed this website in just, developed this script in just 10 days. Initially, the name was Mocha, M-O-C-H-A. Okay, so let me just put it across for you. It was Mocha. And once that Mocha, the name was changed to LiveScript. And post that, since that time, Java was quite popular. Then they named it as JavaScript. So that's how JavaScript came into existence. And the beauty of JavaScript was that it was able to run on any browser. So any browser like Mozilla, that time Mozilla Firefox was the one which was quite, familiar, popular. So that was it. It was able to, integrate with Chrome and so many other browsers. So that's where the interactivity or, the dynamicity to the websites were added. And this is the whole story of JavaScript, right? Okay. So now moving on further from here, after the beautiful story time, the next thing which we will discuss about is the popularity. Why JavaScript has become so popular, right? Why the first and the foremost thing is JavaScript has risen to be the most popular programming language according to GitHub's 2018 Octoverse report. Do you know why? Because JavaScript is the one in which you can develop games. You can make a website. You can do many other things. Okay. So now the question comes in, okay, you can develop a website only, or you can add interactivity only using JavaScript? Yes, no? Okay, so these days Python is coming, right? You can add HTML, CSS and Python and still you can do the things, right? You can add PHP, Django, Flask, right? So many languages are there which you can add on, right? Which you can put it across, right? So what are we going to do? I mean, why are we putting JavaScript is the best, the biggest advantage of JavaScript. So just give me 1 second. Let me pen it down for you so that it becomes quite easier for all of you. So let me just switch on my, hold on students. So I hope my whiteboard is visible to all of you. Students, what am I trying to say? That why JavaScript is that only JavaScript has the capability, has the capacity to work on the client side. And the next thing is, what was the next thing I taught you in yesterday's class? Client side and, come on, I need answers. Wonderful, wonderful. That is server side. Good. So students, it has the capability to work on both the places. So client side, the front end part, server side, the back end part. So that's where the beauty of JavaScript is. And that is why it has, you know, one step above other languages, right? Like your Python or whatever languages are there. Understood? So now let's try to understand that what am I saying over here. Let me come back to my screen again. And if I go here, can you see what is written? JavaScript is a scripting language that is one of the core to develop websites. So here they are talking about front end, right? They are talking about front end, the client side one. Okay. This slide talks about front end. But at the same time, what do you see here? The next slide. It is a client language, means it runs on the computer with your browser. That's we've already spoken. Secondly, Node.js allowed JavaScript to also execute code on server-side scripting, right? So this is the advantage. And if you really talk about what is Node.js, so I'll come back to it, but let me go to my whiteboard again. So when I say client side, what am I referring over here? Basically, I am saying, okay, it is feasible to work on with the front end. And then when I am talking about the server side, then I am talking about what? I am talking about the back end. Clear? Super. Okay. Now going on further from here, I used a term which is called Node.js. Oh, that becomes so difficult to understand, right? We were actually talking about JavaScript. Suddenly, ma'am have used this Node.js. What is it? Nothing. It is nothing. You know, this is something which you will find it very, very easy. Let me come here. Now let me talk about Node.js. Okay. So when actually I'm talking about Node.js, it is open source. What do you mean by open source? That anybody, everybody can access it without giving any prizes. So it is open source. Okay. Cross-platform. Why do we say cross-platform? Because it can be used on different platforms, right? Runtime environment for executing the JS code. Now, why am I saying this? You will get to know once I teach you the live coding or the hands-on practice. So basically what is happening over here, students, that if you have to do JavaScript, if you have to do the live coding, if you have to do the hands-on coding, you need a platform to practice it. So the one way is that you practice it on IDLE. What is IDLE? Integrated Development and Learning Environment. Correct? So basically, you need a platform. You need some space to write. Correct? So what I was telling is that Node.js is something which will help you execute your JavaScript. And that's where I am telling you that, okay, it is an open source or a cross platform. So I'm going to take you to another open source IDLE that is known as Repet. So Repet is nothing. It is an open source editor where you can write your codes and you don't have to store it on your computer. It will be stored over there. So I'm going to take you to this platform. I'm going to share this link. Everybody will have to make their account on that. And I'm going to guide you that how are we going to do, how are we going to execute those things. All right. And let me type in Repet. So you all can do the same. Either you can write it right away, or the next thing you can do is I'm sharing this link in the chat box. Please click on it and start creating your accounts. Yes? Okay. So see, this is how it looks. So what am I going to do? I'm going to start creating. And before I start creating, I have to click on create my account or sign up. And I'm going to use account, the email ID you have associated with your Gmail. Please make sure you log in through that. Okay, sign in through that. Now, once you've done this, now how do you want to use Repet? For the personal use, for work, for education. So you can select whatever you want, whatever your, this thing. Now, if you're new to coding, you can directly click on this. If you have little bit of knowledge on coding, you can go to beginners. If you have nice knowledge and all, you can go to the intermediate, and obviously experts are experts. So maybe I'll start with new to coding. Okay. And want to start with a coding tutorial? Yes, you have the option. But since we are there to care for you. So we'll start with no, I got this. Okay. This is how the platform looks like. Now, what are we going to do? We are going to go and create our first Repet. So we'll say create Repet. Out of all these languages, see, if you have to practice HTML, CSS, Python, JS, all those things are there, right? But what we have to do, we have to practice JS. So for that, we are going to use NodeJS. And that's where I told you, that NodeJS will be the runtime environment for executing the JS code, right? So once you've done this, you can give any title. So I'm going to give the title as lecture on JS. And then I'm going to click on create Repet. Okay. So welcome. So Repet is welcoming us, and here we go. And you can click on next, next, next. If you want to go through the demo, you can see. But I'll guide you so you don't have to worry. Now, on the left-hand side, you are going to see the files. Like whatever files we are going to store, whatever things we are going to store. Generally, JS has an extension which is called .js. Now, what do you mean by extension? Extension as in students. See, you have pictures in your computers, your selfies, and so many pictures you take, right? So if you have to find those pictures, what is the extension you use? .jpg or .jpeg or .png, right? If you have a music in your system, right? You have your favorite song list, or, a video which you have to watch. What is the extension you will see? For audios, you will see .mp3. And if it is a video, it will be .mp4, right? So same way, how will the computer know that it is a JavaScript? The code is written in JavaScript. So for that, the extension is .js. If you see index.js. Okay. The second thing is here, the middle here, where I'm writing anything, right? See, I'm writing anything over here. I'm so sorry. It got stuck. Okay. So this is not your Java code, JavaScript code, but here, this is the place where you are going to scribble. This is the place where you are going to write your program. This is the place where you are going to do all the things. This is your experimental area, right? Now, I used the word program. What do you mean by program? Program is nothing but, I know it is old age, definition, set of instructions. So what do you mean by set of instruction? Also, if you have to communicate, you will have to give instructions. You will have to tell him. Instructions are what? You have to tell him what to do, right? Computer, it has no brains. It will not understand your English. You will have to talk to him in his own language. And there are different types of languages: Python, Java, JavaScript, C, C++, so and so, right? So when I talk about JavaScript, then we will follow a simple syntax. What do you mean by syntax? Syntax means how to write JavaScript. The way we write a programming language. Like when you write English in your copy, you follow rules. What are those rules? The first letter should be capital. Once the sentence is complete, you should put a full stop. If there's a gap, you should put a comma, so and so. Similarly, when you have to talk to computer, you will have to give some instructions, and those instructions will be in some programming language. So for today, for this session, for the coming up session, we will follow JavaScript programming language. So we will have to talk to computer in JavaScript language. And when you have to talk to computer, basically you will have to give instructions. You will have to give commands. And those commands, computer will follow and execute. But it will follow and execute. Where will you see? Where will you see that he has listened to you? It has listened to you. You will see on the last segment, the right side, where it is written console. Correct? Here you will see the output. Clear? Yes, no? Great. Now, students, let us begin with the first syntax of JavaScript. First syntax. So what is that? Let me come back here. And okay, so write any programming language. Say, for example, Python. Why am I'm giving an example of Python? Because it is the most simplest. Okay. So when you have to tell somebody to print, how do you give the instructions? You will write here, say print, and inside the print, you will write hello world, right? But same thing, if I have to write, just give me 1 second. Yeah. So this is basically in Python. This is which programming language? This is Python. Okay. Now suppose same thing, this print command I have to write in JavaScript. What will I do? I am going to write a magic word. a magic word. Please remember, print in JavaScript is what? Print in JavaScript is nothing but console.log. It is nothing. It is print. The whatever is print, you mean you are giving an instruction to computer, you are giving a command to computer that print. So if you have to say print to computer, print it will not understand its English. Print it understands this way when you write it in Python with a bracket and double quotes. But when you have to say print to the computer in JavaScript, you call it as console.log. Plus, remember, here you are going to put bracket. Now, inside the bracket, you can write anything. So I'll tell you what we can write. Plus a semicolon. Now, what is a semicolon? JavaScript is a language of semicolon. Semicolon is basically a sentence terminator, right? That means in your English language, you write a sentence and put a full stop. That means the sentence is finished. Exactly the same thing in JavaScript. When you write a semicolon, that means the sentence has ended. It is a sentence terminator. The sentence is terminated. The sentence is finished. The sentence is done. That's the meaning here. Clear? Now let's execute and see this. Okay. So let me go back here. And what am I going to do? I'm going to write here, say console.log bracket, and then I'm going to write here hello world. I'm so sorry. And here. Okay. This is the run. I mean, this thing I have to execute. You'll click on run. See the first program and it's here, right? It's here. What happened? It should actually work, but yeah. See here, it is hello world. Okay. Now, why have I written hello world in double quotes? Because it is characters and characters are known as string, right? So that's why it is here. Correct? If I write a number, a numeric value, then what will happen? I'm going to write here console.log and say 5. Will it work? Will it work? Hello world and 5. So that's how. So it's basically a print command. Computer doesn't know what are you writing. It doesn't know what are you writing. You can write whatever you like. Okay. It will, the work of computer is, he doesn't have brains, right? It is just going to understand console.log. Okay, I have to print whatever is written inside the double quotes. That's it. Done. You write ABCD, you write rhyme, you write abusive language. It will not understand. It's going to print it right away. Okay. So that's where the computer is. So when you say computer, we give the instructions. We write the program. When we write, see, I have written 2 lines of code, 2 instructions I've given. This becomes a program. Clear? Okay. So now moving on further from here, now I will start with a very simple concept, which is called variable. Okay. So let me come back over here. And let me come back over here. So let me start with the very good example of variables. As the name suggests, variables vary, the things which varies, right? So if I say, give your name, there are 60 students in this class, 80 students in the class. I will have, if I write name here, if I'm going to write name here, I will have 80 different values. Here, what will I have? I will have 80 different values. Maybe the first name is Lipika, then Arjun, then Rohit, then Shivani, and so on. So basically, name is a variable and the values, the names of the persons are the values, right? These are the values. Correct? Exactly same thing. How do we write in a programming language that we will understand? Suppose if I have to write a number, okay? So I will say, okay, birthday. If I give you one more variable, right? So all 80 students, at least 60 or 70 birthday dates, right? Everybody will have a different birthday date, correct? Same way, variable is something which keeps on changing, right? For example, let's go with a layman language. Okay, there's a glass, empty glass. Okay, what all we can put inside a glass? Come on, I need answers. Yes, water, coffee. Yes, mocktails, cocktails. Yes, juices, lime, tea, coffee, cold coffee. Yes, most of the things. So everybody has answered different options. So what is glass? Glass is a variable, and whatever you put inside a glass, maybe water, juice, milk, anything, whatever you want to put inside the glass, all becomes the values, right? Exactly same thing we will write in our JavaScript. So let me come back over here. And what is the next thing? Okay, so before that, I would also like to tell you one more thing. Now I have to execute all the program. So I can't keep on deleting and doing it. I want to keep a reference copy, right? Whatever I am doing. So the best way to execute this, the best way to do this is that you have to click on this new file. And here you have to write your name, program.js. JS, as I told you, extension and this. And press enter. So press enter means it is saved. Okay. Now what will I do? I'm going to do this and I am going to copy the same command, put it over here and paste it here. And then I'm going to run it. Okay, it is showing over here. Correct. But if I have to write, I mean, if I have to see it over here in the shell, what will I do? I am going to give the command as node and then give the program name. So you can write here program.js. This you have to do it in the shell. Console you are already seeing, right? Now, if you have to execute these program, what I said, it is the environment for executing the JS code. So you will write node because node.js. So node program.js, the name of the program, the name of the file basically, not the name of the program, the name of the file. That is program.js. And then what will you do? You're going to do this. Can you see it got executed? Okay, now I want to put one more program. So I'm going to write here variable.js. Okay, now I'm going to write the variable example. How do we write? So when you have to write a variable, first you have to declare it. It is a variable. Computer बुद्धू है, उसे नहीं समझ आता, right? It's very dumb. He doesn't know. So you have to explain him. I am writing a variable. Now variable is what? Variable is X. What is that variable? X, Y, Z, whatever. And after that, you're going to write equal to and give the value as 2 along with our full stop. And what is full stop in JavaScript? Semicolon. Okay. Now we have written a variable. We have declared a variable, but I want to print that also. So what am I going to do? I am going to write my magic word, that is console.log. And what am I going to write here? Here I am going to write simple X. Why X? Because X is the thing which we want to print, right? So how are we going to write here now? We are going to write here, sorry, in this place, node. Then what is the name of our file? It is variable.js. Press enter. The value of 2 has been printed. Clear? Name is a variable equal to, how do we write name? I told you name are in characters in English. And when you write name, it has to be in programming language, characters. Like in English, it is characters. In programming language, it is called string. And string is always written with double quotes, right? So I'm going to write here Lipika. Okay. This is my what? This is my variable declaration. And then what am I going to do? I'm going to write here console.log, write the name, and then sentence terminator. Okay, let's run this again. We are going to write here node variable.js. It printed Lipika.
Thank you so much. Stay tuned for more such content.